We will be doing a sharing session just like last week. You can, everybody is open to talk, and you can talk about Tao, and it's not limited to Tao, but anything that you wanted to share or anything that you have question about or during your cultivation of the Tao path. And if you have any question, you're willing to ask and see if anybody can help you or you can share your experience here.
How do you integrate Tao in your life? You asked that question, yes? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, my question for you is, how do you integrate Tao in your life? Because you do believe, right? I mean, you are a follower of the Tao Te Ching, right? Yes?
Yeah. I just answer briefly. I think into my family and with my lovers, how to use Tao. I think I keep doing this in my life, and how to do Wu Wei when how to put down my attachment, this kind of things. So when I confront conflicts from my family, from my parents, from my lovers, from my colleagues, I'll consider, okay, is that kind of attachment, how to do the concept Wu Wei into my life. But I keep facing some frustrations. So yeah, so I think I try to focus on my life with Tao. Yeah, so personal experience is quite important for me. I think it's kind of it's the way of my development path. Yeah.
Attachment in terms of the spiritual conscious. So the attachment comes at first. When it comes, it's very subtle that we cannot even see. For example, say I'm attached to my cell phone, or I'm attached to this person in the first glance. So in that first glance, is that invisible string of thread. And then the second time when I think of this person, the thread will become stronger. So in a way, the invisible thread will become kind of visible, and the thread will become a rope. A rope, as we reinforce more, it will become a chain. So attachment does form from something very small, from something very subtle. And when we have too many threads onto our arms and legs, not so far we can walk. Imagine when our arms and legs are all being tied down by the chain. There's nothing that we can walk, and we cannot walk far, and we cannot fly. So it's very important to break out those chains. And to break out the chain, it's not easy because it's already a very thick chain. Studying the Tao Te Ching definitely help us to break away the chain. And of course, it takes practice to prevent the subtle, invisible thread from forming. And also, it's in the process of cut off our heavy chain that ties our mind, ties our hands, ties our legs.
I was talking with this Buddhist monk the other day, and he talks about getting rid of attachments. But the impression that I got from him is that it was very severe. He was trying to break all attachments whatsoever, because he believed that all attachments, regardless of what they are, with people, with foods that you like, with anything, is going to prevent you from reaching freedom. Now, my thinking about it is that there are attachments that I don't want to break. I don't want to break my attachments with my children and grandchildren. So, this is only one example, but there must be some good attachments that we shouldn't have to break in order to reach whatever freedom it is. That kind of, I don't want that kind of freedom. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, it does. It does. I agree with your point. I mean, I don't want to detach. I mean, I wanted to be attached with my family. I don't want to detach with them. I don't see why it's always a bad idea to be detached. I mean, to be attached. Any comment?
Yes, myself, please.
Sure, sure.
I think
I'm-
Kai have already risen.
Oh yeah, Kai also raised her hand first.
Yeah, for a while.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to be polite. Okay, I'm gonna lower my hand now. So I want to share a comment too, and especially bouncing off of whatever is on the chat box and what it's said in the group so far. I think, yeah, personally, it's nice to hear a lot of quotes from the textbook, but I think I learn easier when I also hear like real life examples or specific examples next to those textbook concepts. And so I'll share some. I don't know if I'm still learning. Okay, so I'm not perfect, but I hopefully that my personal experience can or example can help others too. So like when I was reading like the first box in the chat, the way it's worded, like trying to be free and then a list of all negative words. Personally, I approach things, I've learned to approach things differently. And I think choice of words to me is very important. Instead of like, oh, I don't want a blah, 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 a bunch of negative words, I would actually change my way of thinking and I'll say, oh, I want and blah, 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 a bunch of positive words so that I'm constantly thinking of positive things. And I think that way I'm subconsciously or consciously just seeking out things that will help me achieve and then this long list of positive things that I have in my mind. That's how I approach it. Like for example, instead of saying, oh, I want to be free of fear and anxiety, I will say, what can I do or what can I learn to help me be happy, be joyful and get what I want? And of course I need to learn, okay, what is happiness? And then that's another class, I guess, but that's how I see it. And I also want to talk about attachment. And this one I think is I could share from my personal work experience. I work with a lot of IT people. And I feel that, and I personally have this too. Like, again, I'm working on this program, this application, and I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I work with this group of people to build this application. And then I suddenly have this attachment. I should be the master of this application. I should be the know-it-all. But then the reality, and this is just really, at least in the company that I work in, but I'm sure this is how it is in the industry. The reality is the application could be changed and maintained by other people. And so even though I might have helped and worked with the people who initially built this application, I should be the master of it all. But I realized, because it changed, what I thought I should know, I no longer know. So, and this I actually kind of picked up this morning and last night because I was working on an application with my coworkers. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I thought I know all this. And there's a lot of things that are not working the way I expect it to work. Programs, especially because with updates, it changes and it's behaving not the way I expect it to and not the way that I've been telling other people. And so I have this attachment. Oh, and now because of this reality, like, oh my gosh, it's in conflict of this attachment that I'm the master of it all. And I just kind of thought about it this morning too, like, maybe just thinking that I'm the master of it all is an attachment I should let go because I'm very stressed right now and I'm very unhappy. This is not helping me with me being happy. So maybe I should let it go. And I think just being able to identify that I had this attachment kind of helped me reduce my stress. And I know I'm stressed because my Fitbit said I'm stressed out. So yeah, and then just being able to recognize it, I think is slowly helping me. Okay, I should just let it go and accept that it's okay not to be the master of all because the reality in this world, I'm sure in Tao too, yes, I might be the master of that instance of that thing in this point in time, but I might not be the master of it maybe a year or 5 years later because that thing that's 5 years later is no longer the same thing that was 5 years ago, and just accept that as part of reality and be able to move on and still continue to seek the happiness that I'm trying to look for. Hopefully that helps. And I'm still learning. And as far as how is Tao helping me, I'm actually reading the text about Tao in the Tienshin Temple's website, and I'm slowly reading it in English. And to give some comment, I wish they had Chinese along the English translation, but that's just my personal comment. But yeah, there's a lot of things I feel like I've learned from my family. To me, it's common sense, but it's kind of reminding me because it's articulating those concepts. Like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, of course you wanna, solve the problem while it's still small. Yeah, and it's in the house text. Like, oh, okay, good, because I totally agree with that. And I'm still reading it too. So to me, it's one of the things that, what's his name again? Jacob had mentioned choice. I'm like, yeah, choice is actually a key word in my way of thinking too. Yes, choice. I choose to be happy. So I'm gonna actually subconsciously seek out things that actually correlates and resonates with me and helping me be happy. So when I read things, oh, that matches what I think will help me be happy, I'll go with that. And other things like, oh, it's teaching me something that I didn't recognize before, but now I recognize it. So now I'm gonna change my formula in my head, but I'll still seek out things to help me be happy. And I feel like this past week when I was reading from the text in the Tienshin's website, like, oh, it's actually enlightening me. So I feel like I'm not saying I'm perfect, like Joanna said, maybe we're not perfectly there, but I feel like I'm getting closer to it. As long as if my Fitbit says I'm not stressed, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I just have to be able to learn to be able to gauge my internal feeling could be it. And there's might be other sensory to see, am I getting closer to what I'm trying to achieve, whether it's freedom or happiness? So far, that's what I've been doing. So hopefully that helps you guys.
Any, Caroline, you want to be next?
Caroline can go first.
I want to make sure everyone get an opportunity to speak today.
Right, well, good evening. And Veronica, I see some is it Jewish words just behind you. It was Rosh Hashanah last week, wasn't it? Well, a very happy belated Rosh Hashanah to you, and I hope you enjoyed the the celebration. But what I was going to say is just to acknowledge the fact that we're all human. At some stage in our life, just like Jacob said, you can't be free of attachments, you can't be free because you will feel anger. I mean, my daughter's at university, she's always stretching her hand out for money. My career, I was attached to it. I used to be an investment banker, but, on the other hand, you realize when, to use the proverbial, sorry to swear, when the shit hits the fan, you realize that's not everything else in life. And how the Tao has actually helped me was going to the temple, realizing what's important, but also realizing the fact that you're human, you will feel anger, you'll get pissed off. I still do. I'm still working for Barclays Wealth. I work for a wealth management company, but, things will still annoy you. You'll feel attachment, but it's just realizing that, hey, that's normal. I'm a normal human being. But what's really important, this Saturday, I'm going to my temple in Manchester, in the UK, just to serve, just to help clean up the toilets. Okay, it might be, just to clean up the gardens, do everything, but it is just to strike a balance in your life. When in the daytime, you get a good job, you earn your money, you get annoyed at some clients that might shout at you and you think, hey, it's not my fault. It's not, but don't think about me. Okay, so I can identify with some points like Jacob said, but at the end of the day, a job's there, it makes money, but in the weekend, you let it all go. You go to the temple, you serve Lao Mu, Heavenly Mother, whatever you call it, whatever you believe in, and it's just striking a balance in your life, really. So, but recognizing the fact that you will feel emotion, because whilst you've got this false self of your, skin and bone, one day when you crumble to nothingness, 6 foot underground, whatever you want to call it, but you would have lived a good life. I don't know, you would have been at peace with yourself. I don't know how to express it. It's late, it's almost midnight here, so I don't know if you know what I mean.
I think that the word balance is very important. And the way I see it with the Tao and my understanding of the Tao is very basic, that the balance between the yin and the yang is what we want to achieve.
Hmm?
Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Yeah,
have a good this is what I think. Like what Kai just mentioned really resonate with me because in Tao Te Ching there are many chapter, many verse talks about doing something without being recognized, achieving something without being rewarded or compensated. And this is the way of getting rid of the attachment. And what I always put it in this logic. How do I get rid of this attachment? If I have finished something or I accomplished something, I give the credit to the Heavenly Mother. I give the credit to the person before me, because how can I have this achievement without my parents? How can I have this achievement without my senior? How can I have this achievement without my Tao master or the universe who provide me everything? The four elements, the fire, the wind, the water, and the earth. So we are just part of the element in the universe. So if we can, we are the vehicle of the universe, or the vehicle of the Buddha. So if we can accredit that, we give that credit, we give that recognition to the higher above. It helps me to get rid of the attachment or lessen the attachment.
Any
As long-
comment?
As long as we have the wisdom to know the difference between good and bad attachments.
Yes, yes, yes.
I agree.
I was just talking about the good, I mean, something that we accomplish. Of course, if it's the attachment of some handsome boy, attachment of cars and house, that's a totally different things.
So basically what it sounds like you're saying when some attachment is getting us out of balance.
Yes, yes. For example, I feel so prideful on something that I accomplished. I feel arrogant. I feel so much ego. Oh, I feel so proud that everybody come online. It's all because of my effort. But in fact, it's not. I give all the credit to the people in the temple, give the credit to the Tao master, the credit to other people. And of course, for everybody to be here, it's not just my achievement, it's everybody's achievement, right? Because you all put your time and effort to meet online. So the credit belongs to everybody.
I agree. The credit belongs to everybody, not an individual, as this is a, together we're kind of like in a team, and this is
Yes.
like a teamwork. Yeah. Any comment, or anybody want to say anything?
I apologize. I do not know how to put up my hand or to put up the hand. I've looked, but
See
Iris,
reaction.
You want
The
to
button there.
click the more. Maybe on the more, there's a 3 dot. You
Oh,
click the more.
reaction.
Yeah, you will see
Yeah.
Yeah,
reaction.
reaction.
Oh, more.
Yeah, if you
Yes.
first of all,
Okay,
do
wait.
you see?
Okay, wait a minute. I hit more. Wait a minute. Oh, I see.
You will see a
wait minute,
smiling
wait.
face.
I'm sorry. But I want to talk while I'm looking at this. Wait a minute. Okay, so if I do that, there
It's
it is. Oh my
clapping.
goodness.
You got the
I
wrong
did it.
one.
And,
You got
and
the wrong
you know
one.
why that is? Because
It
what
says
do you mean?
it says
I
raise
did the
hand.
hey. That's not
You
fair.
just applauded.
Okay.
Everybody's
That it
picking on
says
me.
raise
That's not
hand,
fair.
and then it says
Okay,
raise hand,
oh,
and then when you
okay.
want to remove it, you just click it again.
I
It says
can.
lower hand.
Or you can raise your physical hand. I think
There's
that's the
thumbs
most
up. I
easy.
see thumbs. I don't see. Oh,
I think he
Oh,
wants to
oh,
get in
oh.
line. That's what it is.
He wants to learn
Oh,
how to use electronics.
Right. And correct. And
okay.
he wants
How do I
to-
get it now? Okay.
Click it again.
Okay, it says lower. Okay. Oh, good. I think I got it. I really did.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
did.
click the first
I
one
want to
to
say
raise
one
your
last
hand.
thing.
We learned
And-
something today.
Robert, you're so cute.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say just the last thing, that's because it's so much better, all of us, that we're part of a greater whole, that we join together, that we break the limitations and the lines that we, the boundaries that we have, that we go through the boundaries and we all join together. That's the most important, one of the important things, I think, that the Tao Te Ching teaches. So that's my speech for the day.
Thank you, Robert, for your speech.
Anyone else want to add any comment?
Okay.
Peter.
Peter, go ahead. Sorry.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just wanna thank Joanna's answer. I agree with the idea that when we try to become less attached, we should. It really helps to think, to be grateful to everybody that has been coming, everybody that we encountered along the way toward success, whatever your success is. Be grateful for everything. Everything helps us grow and learn, and every experience, whether it is good or bad, or it's painful, or it's pleasure or pleasant, everything we can learn from, and helps us to become successful, helps us to accomplish what we want to accomplish, and giving credit to God, to Tao, give credit to my true self, or credit to the Buddhas, the deities, bodhisattvas, all of the credit that we can acknowledge that we're getting all this help from them, helps us to become less attached to the material world, and it helps us to become happier in eventually. I agree with Kai was mentioning about trying to be happy, and going through all these software challenges that she's facing, and it's a software development is a very constantly changing field of technology, so it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of constantly you have to be studying all this new software coming out. But if you give credit to Heavenly Mother, and give credit to Buddha Maitreya, or give credit to Mother Mary or Jesus, and everybody that you encountered along the way, it'll help you to be happier, and be successful, and accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Very well said. Thank you, Peter. Sister Iris, your mic is mute.
Oh, Kai or Pingyi is next.
I think Pingy came
Whoever.
first.
Whoever wants to go first.
Okay, thanks, Kai. I think I would like to use put my attachments done and let my attachment go rather than get rid of all my attachments. Because I found when I want to get rid of it, it is kind of attachment for me. And before I try to put efforts on get rid of all my attachments, but it seems that make my attachment more stronger, I think. So I think maybe we can just release our hand. But before, I think it's subtle for me in my life. And I found how to, if I can become relaxed and just release my tensions in my body, I found I just put down my attachments, and it's made me feel more balanced. I can confront my attachments, and I can also see it's just put down from my hands. So it's kind of, yeah, it's so I think it's quite helpful for me. Also, although it's just kind of concepts, but I think it's helped me to live a balanced life. And I think I try to use hermit's mindset to live in the modern world. So I still have a relationship with others, but maybe I can use the Tao mindset, or I so-called hermit's mindset to live in this world, live in the city, and how to love people around me. Yeah, because I think at first I try to stay away from majority or people around me, because I want to trace what is Tao. But eventually I found I need to go back to this world. I need to go back to deal with my relationship with my parents, with my lovers, with my colleagues. So, but I still try to have Tao mindset. So there's a phrase in Chinese similar to live in the modern world with hermit mindset. Yeah. So you work on the street and buy something in the markets, but you have a Tao mindset or hermit mindset. I think it's the proper description of my present condition, I think. So that's all I want to say.
Pingyi, can you write down the Hermes mindset?
Hermit? Okay.
Is that a special term?
Hermit.
Can you write it?
Hermit.
Hermit. Oh, I see.
Hermit. Sorry, my pronunciation.
No problem. I thought it's like hurting me. Mindset.
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Miguel asked, how do you say that in Chinese in the chat?
Okay. I try to explain by Mandarin. 用出世的心入世的活.
Can you write that in the chat?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You say that in Cantonese.
No, it's Mandarin. I couldn't.
He write it so fast. He write it so
用
fast.
自私的心入，用出世的心入世。
Because I don't know how to say 出世 in English. Maybe hermit mindset.
It's like being a monk. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, you use monk mindset and live on the street. So yeah.
Actually, in my neighborhood, there's a lot of monks too. It's like it's normal.
Really? Oh.
There's a lot of temples and
It's like
it's like-
some. Yeah, so a lot of monks.
yeah, they go to the supermarkets. I go. It's like not, it's so normal now. But anyways,
You mean monks as in 和尚我熊啊?
yes, like those orange or gray robes. Yeah, there's a lot of pretty new temples being built right now.
All right. Okay,
Where's that?
interesting.
I live in Rose-
Where?
I live in Rosemead, San Gabriel Valley.
Oh, yes.
Where a bunch of Asians are.
Yes. Yes.
Well, my geography is so bad. I told somebody once, many years ago, that Costa Rica was off the coast of Spain because you had Costa del Sol, Costa Brava. So I thought, oh, Costa Rica, coast of Spain. Turned out I was wrong. The guy called this customer up in Costa Rica. Turned out it was 1 a.m. in the morning.
But people think, oh, okay. Hey, that's a new trend, you know. I noticed a lot of people shaving their head. I mean, it saves a lot of shampoo and water. But anyways, that's beside the point. So I guess my turn. Let me lower my hand so I don't forget. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I want to share an observation I have that I kind of carry on with me. I noticed that there's a relationship between yin yang, attachment, and balance. I think a lot of people, again, back to like what I said last time about bacteria, like a lot of people, I guess for the most part is usually true, like people attribute attachment being like really, really negative. But then again, from my personal experience as a kid and now I'm not a kid, sometimes I think attachments are so cool. It's so awesome because like, let's say a person is like lacking balance, like, oh, that person is not motivated. Okay, maybe that person is me. Like if I'm not motivated and maybe like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do to, actually guys are never what motivates me, but like, what am I gonna do to do really well in school? Then because of that attachment, it gets me to study hard. But then once, it's just a matter of balance. But once I get to the point where, okay, I think I'm doing really well in school, so I'm no longer so attached to it. So I kind of like, again, yin yang to me mean that the relationship with yin yang and attachment is like, well, I don't know if yin or yang is bad, but there's no bad or good. It's just people, or the way I see attachment was very useful at one point, but eventually I reached to the balance point where, okay, I don't need to study so hard now. I need to like do something else, like socialize. Or okay, I'm done socializing. I'm like very tired now. Too much people to talk to. Now I'm gonna have to do something else. Like okay, I'm gonna focus on my health. And I'm like, oh, I've been eating too much. Okay, I'm gonna stop that now. And maybe I should go exercise instead. So I feel like attachment doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It's almost like a balance too. Like, once you're off balance, then you kind of have to fine tune it a little bit and use it when it's good for you, and reduce it when it's too much for you. So yeah, I just want to share that. I just want to send a message. I don't think attachment is always a bad thing, but I guess a lot of stories we've heard is they had resulting bad consequences because of overdose on attachment. But just want to know that, just want to say, I don't think attachment is always a bad thing.
I agree that I wanted to say something. And yeah, I was going to have a question about, is attachment necessary a bad thing or always a bad thing? My own personal experience or comment is that I don't think it's always bad. And I'm sure there's some good attachment that we should keep up with it. I didn't think that all attachments are bad. I don't know about how the rest of you guys are thinking. Any comment, anybody? Sister Joanna. Or Kai, you want to go ahead or finish?
Yeah, let me just finish. I feel like a lot of people, because and again, this is the phrase I use at work too. Like people pay attention to problems, but when okay, let me reframe this. So some of the things we said is, no, you work so hard to make something so perfect that, like a calculator. Okay, again, back to the programming world. The calculator never breaks. No one ever talks about the calculator. It's so perfect that it always works. But then we only talk about the things that breaks. We only talk about, like, we only bring attention and visibility to problems because that's what people see and talk about. And so I think now relating to attachment, I think people normally associate attachment to negative things because it was in a context of problems. Like how often do we talk about, oh, this is so great because of attachment? How often do we hear stories of that? We normally hear stories of problems, issues, and associate with attachment because we don't hear about it. Just like the calculator. Calculator is awesome. It never breaks. But who often talks about the calculator? Like who always prays, oh, the calculator never breaks. Yeah, let's separate. Nobody does that, right? Normally we just talk about, oh, what kind of problem do we have? How do we solve it? Blah, blah, blah. And here's what's causing this problem, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's because of what we choose to talk about and choose to pay attention to. is why we remember it, a certain thing a certain way. But yeah, that was it.
Agree. Sister Joanna.
Okay, well, I want to talk about, we talk about many terms, attachment, balancing. I want to talk about this too in terms of the yin and yang. The yin and yang is made out of white and black, we all know. And it's a constant moving energy within us and within the universe. So in our daily life, we are constantly in the energy of the yin and yang. And the way that the Taoists look at it is that when the things come, we deal with it. For example, if it's my daughter's birthday, I will feel very yang because I'm so excited to go prepare her birthday. And then maybe spend the next couple hours on the next day to prepare her birthday. And once the birthday is finished, I will come back to the center. So then that will be the point of balance. And because I come back to the center. And let's say if I hear a phone call from Sister Iris and she told me about bad news and I feel worry, I feel anxiety, and we kind of do the girls gossip. And then after we finish that, I let go of my emotion and I come from the black side to the middle part. So when things come, we deal with it. But when things go away, we return to the center. So I'm no longer attached to my daughter's birthday party, the planning, the embellishment. And I'm not so attached to the emotion that I had with Sister Iris in the conversation. So that's how I look at the balance and the attachment in the yin and yang perspective. Now, if we would be attached, then we will stay on the right or on the left. But either way is not good, because when the task is completed, then we should come back to the center, which is the balancing point. And it's neither in the black or the white. That's all I want to say.
Agree. I agree with Sister Joanna. And Mark, you have something to say?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. We're talking about attachments and everything, and I've actually I've made a lot of I don't know the word to use, progress with my my little attachments, my little desires. I had all these little habits of like one habit used to be, if I got stressed out or if I got bored or something, I would say to my fiance, Tanya, I'd say, I'm going for a ride. I'm going to go get an ice cream. And I would go get a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream and eat the whole thing. And this was a regular thing. This was four nights out of the week. And what happens is I create this habit, you know, and I'm just using the ice cream as an example. There's so many other examples. I don't want to bore you, but you know, I find myself really looking inward and saying, why do I want to do this? You know, I used to smoke cigarettes. You know, there's tons of things that have changed, but it's like when I really look inward and I say, why do I want to do this? You know, and usually it's out of boredom. Usually it's to not feel however I feel in that moment. And my mind just goes to these things, whether it's the internet or ice cream or whatever it is, you know. Another nasty habit that I had was that my house was cluttered. And my poor fiance used to be like, Mark, I'm what's going on? You got like piles of papers over here and this is over here and that's over, you know, and it's, I really have to say, well, what's going on here? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to get an ice cream? Why do I want to save all this stuff? Why don't I have time to go through my stuff? When I really like look deep down inside, I can usually see the reason. It's usually that I'm restless. It's usually that my mind it's just a default setting that my mind goes to, it just doesn't want to feel whatever it's feeling or thinking in this moment. And there's this other thing that I can do that's brought me this little bit of pleasure in the past. And I'm gonna wring that out. I'm gonna go find that pleasure again for that little split second. And it becomes this habit, this condition that I've created for my own self. And then if I stop doing the ice cream thing, it pops up somewhere else. Maybe I want a cigarette or whatever it is. It manifests in a multitude of ways. And a couple people were talking about love. They don't want to give up their attachments for love. And I have my own personal way of looking at things like that. Is like, if anything is about love for Tanya, my fiance, or my cat who's over here, well, she just left, my cat, or my family, or my Tao brothers and sisters that I'm getting to know so well. Like, if it's coming from a place of love, it's probably good, you know, and that's a good thing for me to do. And what I have found is that by feeding the light, by feeding the goodness, by feeding the love, it helps me. It helps me notice those little mental ticks that want me to go get ice. It feels right. It feels right to do good things. It makes me feel good. When I do good things for other people and I can see that it affects them, that makes me a lot happier than any pint of Ben & Jerry's. You know, it really does, you know. So I just find myself really analyzing, why do I want to do this? You know what I mean? And that can go for anything. That can go for money. Why do I feel like I really want more money? You know, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Like, I really find myself analyzing all these thoughts and mental impulses like throughout the day. And I found a lot. I have found a lot. And I'm sure there's a lot more that I need to, that I can work on, you know what I mean? But it's really cool to like get a few of them out of the way. And it's like, okay, the next thing here. And it's like this forward progress thing, you know, and it's contagious. It feels really good. You know, the proof and the evidence is right there. I don't need somebody to tell me anymore, although it feels good, you know what I mean? To hear, you know, do good deeds, do good deeds, do good deeds, you know. That's something I heard since I was a kid. And I really wasn't interested in it, you know, but I am now. I really am now. I really am into looking at why I want to do all these things. Backpacking gear. I'm a hiker, right? And I probably have about $2,000, $3,000, maybe $4,000 worth of hammocks and backpack, just get stoves and just all kinds of stuff. And one of my go-tos used to be like looking for stuff at a good deal or something. Like, I need more backpacking gear. I don't. I have enough to live out in the woods for the rest of my life if I wanted to. So that's all I got. Thank you.
No, I suppose I have a little bit of trouble with the word attachment. It's a Buddhist term, right? I mean, I've not ever thought much in the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu, I think talks more in terms of kind of adding weight to our lives. I think that that might be an equivalent, that if we continue to just add weight to our lives, add things that when we walk, that we keep carrying this and adding weight, so it becomes harder to move through our life. And I can see, Joanna, that you're not quite getting what I'm saying, but I do think that isn't the word attachment more of a Buddhist term, or am I wrong?
It's true. That's a Buddhist term. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
What would that be?
but
in-
anyway, I think, yeah.
Oh, what would that term be in Chinese? I'm just wondering.
You were cutting in, I guess, having diabetes and being truly attached to Haagen-Dazs rum raisin. Now, I think I'm understanding attachments a little bit more. Like, when I didn't have diabetes years ago, I could not stop eating rum raisin. So, I mean, if I started like a pint, I would start to eat, and I could not stop. I would have to eat the whole thing. So consequently, I decided that if I was going to eat rum raisin, it might be once every couple of months or something like that. Yeah, that could be, that's an attachment, isn't it?
But
I
Robert, I'll
used to
let you.
love rum raisin too. But I don't like sweet things nowadays as I'm growing old.
Seems our body have
Yeah, I miss the,
wisdom on how to balance our life. So when we grew up and we just let a lot of our habits away.
life is not a group of problems to be solved, but a mysterious wonder to be experienced and lived.
In our life, we do face a lot of problems, but not all the problems are bad. Karma or the problem are actually custom made for our individual soul. And unless we can learn how to deal with our problem, such as a marriage issue, parenting, looking for jobs, interview skills, and sibling rivalry, anything. I mean, there's just tons of things that we can talk about in our problem that we face in our life. So all these problems are tailor-made and custom-made for our individual soul. So if we cannot deal with it, and if we say we keep running away, the problem will just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. So we really have to learn how to deal with it and face it. And once this type of problem is solved, then it will not bother you anymore. Then we can use the time and the patience, the endurance to deal with another problem. So not all the problems are bad. They are actually for our spiritual growth. I want to cover the other thing about what Mark said, because Mark said that he does a lot of good things and good deeds and he feels good. And that's because we come from the universe, and that means we have this true self. And our true self is full of love, benevolence, compassion, kindness. And when we do those good deeds, we actually resonate our true self with the universe. And that's why we feel very joyful and very blessed. And once we get hang of it, then we will do more and more, because the advantage of resonating with the universe, the happiness is beyond joy. And this is nothing to do with attachment.
I just want to say one thing. I had okay, so I'm going to throw you out there, Joanna. It was about, I don't know, 4 months ago, something like that. And I felt like I was having a tough time or whatnot in life. I was a little bit stressed out. And Joanna said, if it's safe and you see a dead animal, pick it up and go bury it. And I see you over there smiling, Joanna. You remember you told me that.
Yes.
And you know what? It's I remember when you told me that, Joanna, I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Can you say that again one more time? What is it? Like Joanna tell you to?
I was having a tough time mentally. It wasn't really even that bad, but it was just, one of those days. And I was either on the phone with Joanna or messaging her. I don't remember which. I think I was on the phone with her. And she said, are you having a tough day, huh? She said, why don't you, if you see an animal dead on the road that got run over, a squirrel or something like that, why don't you scoop it up and go bury it in the ground?
Can I add something? Because he said, I feel so good in me. I feel so immersed in Tao. What can I do? So I give him something to do. And that was that thing to do.
That's what it was. And this isn't Mark's so virtuous or anything like that, but there's a lot of dead animals buried in my backyard now. I just if I see a squirrel anywhere in the blocks around here, it goes in the back of my van. And when I come home, I got a little shovel and I get a little spot out back, and it's like, but the point is to bring back is like when you first told me that, Joanna, my mind said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That is not the answer to problems of money or ice cream, or that does not sound like the answers to my problems. I don't think you heard, you know what I mean? It's like, it's the most irrational thing that my mind has heard. But then it was a couple of days later, I remember driving by a squirrel. I was going to work, and I saw the squirrel, and I just pulled, the van just pulled over, and I grabbed it, I threw it in the back of the van. And I remember when I brought it to work, the person that was working with me at the time helped me dig the hole. And there was a power flowing through me and him, and then the homeowner, the homeowner's house that was under construction. They showed up, and I told them, and they were like, "That's a great thing you did." You know, it's the point isn't, "Oh, Mark, you did this great thing." It's there is power in love. There really is. There really is a lot of power in like just doing something nice for somebody. Sometimes if I think I'm having a really bad day, if I can lift somebody else up, I'm now lifted up. You know, it's whereas before it was, no, those aren't the answers to my problem. To help somebody else means I have to extend myself, and I'm the one that needs help. You know, it was only through experience. You know, it's just, I don't know what made me pull over that day to bury that first squirrel, but the experience that I had from burying that first squirrel has led to, there's a lot of animals buried in our backyard back here, you know, because I just want to keep doing that. I just want to keep doing good because it feels good. It feels good. The money problems aren't an issue anymore. Like feed the light, feed the love, you know. You help teach me that, Joanna. Thank you.
That was very great experience.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and that's like
I want to say that based on the
Yeah.
Tao teaching, we are the concept of oneness. I can imagine I'm that squirrel on the street and being run over by car, being showered by rain, and being exposed on the sun. So if I'm that squirrel, I would want to beg somebody to pick me up, to bury it, instead of being constantly run over by some car. So it's the sense of compassion. So it's very easy to pick up a squirrel if we can exchange our position and our role.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that story with everybody.
Yeah, that was a good, like, great sharing.
Yeah, and I used to do that too, and I feel so much power within me. In my previous home, I have many squirrels too.
Oh.
And birds.
I feel that people sharing is also sharing their love. You can tell that some people share because they want to contribute something out of their heart. So I thank you, Mark. But when I think about the Tao, the first word that comes to my mind is balance, is seeing life like a seesaw. It goes one side and then it goes to the other side. And my job is to wait until it goes back to the middle. Am I getting it right? To trust that it's going to get back to the middle.
Peter, you want to say something?
Oh, yes. I was listening to the Mark and his story and Joanna's story, and it made a lot of sense to me. So I want to thank you because this, you know, the having, when we're going through a lot of trouble in our life, many problems or you know, very depressing situations, actually it really makes sense. That's when we really have to be more loving to somebody, or love, show love, be helpful to another sentient being, and it could be a squirrel or a cat, or my mother had was going through a very difficult time like 20 years ago, and at that time I didn't understand why she loved to pick up stray cats that were in the street, and she loved to feed them and take them to the vet, get neutered, and give them shelter and food and wash them and bathe them, everything. And it was at that time I didn't understand why she was so like determined to save these cats that were in the street. And now I understand a little bit better because this Mark's story also helped me to understand, this there is an invisible blessing that we receive by doing something good for somebody else, or for a cat or a dog or a squirrel, or it could be doing something like helping out at a nursing home. We could offer some volunteer work. It could be many things that are helpful, for somebody. We could give some money to charity also. That is another way of helping, as long as we do it with sincerity, with the intention is to do the best we can. I think it's an amazing experience. Yeah.
I would like to say that I really appreciate the discussion about love, because yesterday I was in a Zoom meeting where we talked about places in the world where people are indoctrinated to hate. And that was very disturbing. I know about it, but every time I hear it, it really raises my blood pressure. So here comes the answer from the universe. Was talking about the seesaw. Yesterday we talking about indoctrinating to hate, and now we are talking, it goes to the other side. The yin goes to the yang or whatever, and now we are talking about love. So here it comes back to the balance. So I guess I should be grateful for that.
That's where the yin and the yang come together and they produce love.
Right. Yeah, actually, I want to bounce off of what Mark has started, and I think now we're talking about love. So recently, because of inflation, and now I think about currency, the value of my savings and money, and I think currency. And then when I hear what Mark has shared and what everybody has shared around surrounding love, like that in itself could also be a type of currency. And it made me thought of, I don't know how to say this in English, but I think the closest translation is community, and in Chinese, like Gai Fong. I don't know how to say it in Mandarin. I don't even know if there's a equivalent word in Mandarin.
Generous, 大方, generous, right?
不是 Gai Fong is
I
like
for
Gai Fong is like,
community.
Right, neighbors.
yeah, like literal words is like Gai Fong is what 街坊.
Oh.
It's a very Cantonese concept, I think.
解放,
Yeah, no, 不是。
街坊,
街坊.
邻居。
I don't know how to type it in Chinese. See, I need to learn Chinese, but I know how to say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say is
Neighborhood.
community. I think more like community type of neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, just sense of like, I guess another way, like your own community, but in almost leaning towards like a clan where everybody knows everybody, and even though you're not biologically family, you treat each other like family. But what I'm trying to share is the love that comes from that kind of being part of that group, and the interaction and the behavior within that community, and just doing. And for me, I feel like when I'm able to help someone with something, even though it cost me very little, it feels really good. And I feel like that kind of currency itself is something I sometimes feel like it's worth saving more than like American dollars or other type of monetary currency. It just because the sense I get in that kind of community is that when you give to others, others are happy to give to you. And we're not talking about giving an equivalent of dollar values, or it's just giving to give love, to give happiness. Like, oh, I give this to you, you enjoy that, you like that, it makes me happy, we're both happy. I see you need help, I help you, I'm not charging you anything, but I see that you received my help and my help was used, like it was actually contributing, I also feel happy. Like I bake something, I cook something, you enjoyed it, okay, great, now my cooking skills is being put to use, you enjoy my food, you're happy, I'm being appreciated, I'm happy. So that kind of currency is something I find truly valuable, even though it's not something that can be easily measured just like dollars and
So when you talk about currency, you mean it's the invisible treasure that Jesus wants us to store in heaven, right? That's what you say, currency.
well, I
It's
don't know
not
about
real-
Jesus, but because I don't have I don't
Like-
I haven't studied that yet, but yeah, it's just that thing. And
I think in Tao term, it's called merit, M-E-R-I-T, or good deed. Merit and good deed,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So that's the invisible currency.
Yeah, well, what I learned, the real definition of currency is something that moves something else, like it puts something else into action, because money will make people move, it'll make people work and make people do a lot of stuff. So money makes
Oh.
people move. So that's the original meaning of currency, but we use currency like as money because that's the more common
Yeah,
knowledge.
in Chinese, it's called 功德.
功德, oh, okay.
功德. Pingy, can you help us to write down? Because I can, for me to write it slower. 功德. 功德 is like the invisible virtue that we don't see, but it's stored in our Akaishi record. Akaishi record is from the Buddhism term, which stay in the alaya consciousness.
Was that like an invisible savings account then?
Yes, yes, yes. And we want to save a lot because we don't know how much debt we have in the previous life. So we want to save as much as we can. So each squirrel that you bury, it's one small token.
Oh, wow. See, now my attachment to having my savings account grow big, and maybe it's going to help me get a lot of 功德.
We shouldn't just accumulate money that we have in the bank, but then did we not remember we should accumulate merit, which is like a form of money in heaven. Save your merit, like your money instead of in the Bank of America or Chase Bank, but you need to save your merit in the bank in heaven, which is the merit.
But here, the virtue or the good deed that we store, we should not attach to it. Once we finish those good deeds, we should let go. Otherwise, the good deed will stay fixed. If you don't hang out, if you don't attach to the good deed, then your merit will be multiple fold.
Okay.
You see, so we cannot attach to the merit that we did. And Robert?
Agree.
Before Robert starts,
well,
sorry, just want a
sorry.
quick comment. So Iris, when you say Bank of Heaven, the first thing I thought of is the paper money that I burned for my ancestors, because it actually
Oh,
says Bank of
no.
Heaven in there.
I mean the bank in heaven, the one that you burn for your relative, or they're actually not going to heaven, they're going to underworld.
Also, I'm assuming my relatives are in the underworld when I burn.
Yeah, so in
this is-
Tao practice, we don't do that kind of things. And our belief is you have to do the saving yourself, which are those merit that you have to do the saving yourself for the most part.
You can, after you save your merit, you can say you want to forward the merit
Forward,
to someone, to your past ancestor.
Mm.
Forward to my past.
回向
Yeah, 回向.
Yeah, 回向.
Wow, then I should be an ancestor.
What if you don't have any?
Eventually,
What if you don't have any good descendant who do such thing for you?
Yeah, eventually you become ancestor.
Okay, I need to think about this now.
I mean, eventually when we pass, we become ancestor to somebody, your descendant, right?
That means you had to have kids then to be an ancestor.
Not necessary. For example,
Your
if you,
brother, sister? or
say
like,
if you pass away now, we would all do some mirror for you. But that's only if we have good affinity. Like you are our neighbor. We say the neighbor, like we are in a good community, then we can
Mhm.
do something for our ancestor Kai Song.
Oh, so you don't have to
Lifelong.
be biologically related. It could be like,
No,
No, it
not
can be
necessary.
friends, relative.
oh, okay. Then I need to go socialize some more then.
It's good to join us for the session because then we can forward some merit to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
in
our
the
temple
future.
in Manchester, we have every Tuesday, every Thursday at 9 o'clock. So for about 20 minutes, we chant the sutras, and then we dedicate the sutras to those that are sick, that are ill, even relatives of our fellow Talkins that we've never even met, for God's sake,
Mhm.
who have passed on. And that's what we actually do. But we also dedicate it to, victims of the pandemic. We've never met any of them, but it's a good thing to do, really.
Yeah, so if you bury a squirrel, you can also say that today I bury a squirrel. I hope to give the merit to so and so. It doesn't have to be a deceased ancestor. It can be somebody who is still alive. Say you are significant others.
If you don't have anybody to give it to, I'll take it.
Okay.
Sure, if you need, then we can give you some. But it's more important that you know how to create the merit yourself. It's very, because you only receive the partial. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just kidding. I was just being funny.
Mhm.
I'm having
let's-
deep thought. Oh, sorry, go ahead,
Yeah, no,
Ronica.
go ahead, Sam.
I was just having deep thought as we were talking about this, and I think we could definitely save this for a different session because I think it's gonna drag on very long. So what happens to people who are reincarnated? Like, what if like a reincarnation of me is probably maybe a form of ancestor of me? So am I like giving gongda to myself who might have reincarnated into me? But again, I just wonder about that, and if it takes a long time, we could talk about that another time.
Repeat the question again. I'm not quite getting it.
So
Yeah, I didn't.
So I'm thinking of reincarnation. So
Mhm.
I'll just use myself. Like, what if there's a Kai right
Mhm.
now? And what if I reincarnated from several generations of another Kai? And that happens to be one of my ancestors. Then when I send Gongda, am I sending Gongda to myself? Because I'm already reincarnated. I'm here right now. But is
Mhm.
it sending to my old self or that still exists? Or is it sending to me here? Because I'm the reincarnated version of that old person.
Sister Joanna or Robert, you
Okay,
have.
I think what Kai meant is that so you have to understand it's the same soul because it's the same identity. So because you have the previous Kai Song and now you reincarnated as Kai Song, but it's going to be a different name. After you pass, you are going to be another entity with a different name. So you cannot really create mirror for your future self because what you create it's only for your current self. And you cannot create for the past self because the past and the present is the same Kai Song, the same soul. Because it's the same person, same being. How can you do the forwarding to somebody in the past and who is you and to someone who is you in the future?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, and of course, nobody's gonna know that like Kai Song from 100 years ago is now me. Some people don't know that. Maybe even I don't know that. So
Mhm.
and other people are still sending gongda to that person that is already me. then does that mean that gongda that's sent to them is now like turned to zero, like has no value because I am now alive, and that person that they're sending it to is actually, the soul is no longer there because the soul is not in the living person.
But because you come alive, so you receive the mirror from the person who sent it to you in the previous life. Say
Oh,
100 years ago, you had a, say 100 years ago, you are someone else and you have a child, and that child creates a mirror for you. And that's what you have now. That's what you have, everything in your possession. You have your physical body, your family environment. So that's this is what you have as an accumulation from the previous life.
So I'll frame it differently. So let's pretend Confuzi, like, you know, someone's still praying to Confuzi, and what if I am the reincarnate version of Confuzi? But people don't know that, and even I don't know that, and people are still praying or giving gongda to Confuzi. But I'm here alive right now. So what happened to those? Like, am I just continue getting, even though I'm living, I continue to get all the gongda that other strangers are giving to me, even though it's meant for Confuzi?
Yes, you are still continuous receive the merit. But because your mirror is so much, and because you are Confucius, you don't want to hold on to the mirror, you give it out. So the mirror does not really stay in you. Because you are the great Confucius, the great individual, the great compassionate person. So you give it out. And when you give out, the heaven give you 100-fold, 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold.
I think what Kai is saying is that they are giving it to somebody who doesn't exist anymore.
But the soul never die.
How do you know?
The physical body,
Who said
although
that?
the physical body died, but the soul never die. This is based on the Tao teaching, because our soul is everlasting.
Right, correct. Sister Joanna is correct. And I think that's a very deep topic that it will take quite a bit time to explain.
Thought so too.
Mhm.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, Kai.
Robert,
I'm sorry, I couldn't answer your question. Maybe another time or private message. But you are welcome to come to our temple.
Oh, really?
Actually, I
Yes.
just messaged her.
Oh, you did?
Oh, wait, let's take care of Robert and Peter. Who wants to go first?
Peter, you want to go?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Robert. I was listening, yes, about the question about the soul, whether about the soul never dies. But when we studied the Tao Te Ching with you in the previous classes, yeah, the Lao Tzu mentions the spirit of the valley never dies. Is that a good quote from
Yes.
Lao Tzu?
Yes.
So
Yes.
does that
Yes.
refer to the soul and the spirit of the valley? That is that the same idea? Is that a good answer for Kai's question?
Yes.
That's the 6th chapter in the Tao Te Ching. Well, I can't totally dealing with the Tao Te Ching. I was thinking my view on reincarnation and what happens is that when we're born into this world, we take on all the genetics of the ancestors of the body that we come into. Our parents, and that thread goes through thousands and thousands of people that have lived in the past. So when we come into this world, we make this choice. And in physical terms, there's a genetic key, and we choose certain problems from our ancestors from our mother and our father that we get when we come into the world. And we have to deal with the genetics that goes back thousands of years in the strands. That's one thing. And then when we pass away, you know, perhaps some of us may choose to not be reincarnated again if we're that far along, or we may choose to solve a problem, or we may have to come back. We may feel that we have to come back, but we sort of plan out what's going to happen and what family we're going to come into, and what situations we're going to have. However, I personally believe that life is not totally destined. It's not totally fated, not everything. And I wonder a lot, there's possibly a lot of little things that the spiritual person inside of us sometimes makes slight little changes, and we don't even know that we have these little changes in our destiny. We think a lot of times that we're totally locked into everything. And yet, there's these little changes, just these little changes that we don't notice, we don't know, because the changes go on beyond the what we can see and what we can sense. And so maybe every couple of days our destiny changes and we don't know it.
Agree with Robert. We do have the power to change our fate and our destiny.
Okay. Can we do our departure ritual and then everyone else can stay after that until 5 o'clock?